welcome to Safety in Retirement. I'm your host, Paul Gephardt, with my special guest today, Lynn Strickler, the CEO of LS Financial Group. Welcome to the program, Lynn.
Oh, thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah,
I understand
great.
you're coming from beautiful Florida.
Oh, that's right. Absolutely. Fort Lauderdale area.
Oh,
beautiful
man,
down there.
am I jealous.
Yeah.
You know, the goal, Lynn, is for me to get as much money as I can so I can retire down there.
There you go. That's right. We got a lot of retirees coming.
You got extra sand for a guy like me?
Sure, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I like folks to get to know you a little bit, Lynn,
Sure.
before we kind of dive in, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, how did you become a financial planner?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I've spent a number of years in the high-tech world.
Really?
And yeah, I was with HP. I was with a couple of very large companies. And I did a turnaround company, a software company, and did pretty well. We took the stock from $1.18 to $18.
Wow.
Did well, and moved to Florida. And ended up getting into the market, the housing and the real estate and the mortgage business. And you can imagine what happened in '08.
Oh, gosh.
So,
I was a victim.
Yeah, so a lot of us were.
Yeah.
And that's when I got into really getting into the retirement business. I realized that I didn't want anyone else to lose any money like I did, okay? It's very hard on your family. It was hard on my children. And so I vowed then that I was going to refocus my business, okay? And we were going to help pre-retirees and retirees to get out of the Wall Street casino, as I call it, and get a portion of their money into a safe place, okay? So they could never look at Len with what I do and say, Len, you've lost my money. Won't happen. Because what we do is we put folks into safety, okay, where they'll never lose their principal.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we do, and I got involved in this business because of that, right? And then after that, Paul, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years after that, I got hit. You know, you get hit in life with curveballs, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I get a right cross, and then I get a hook. And the hook was that my sweetheart of 45 years came down with frontal temporal dementia.
Oh.
And she, it's a very progressive disease, very fast. Now,
Yeah.
I don't say that for people to go, oh, well, Len.
Sure.
But it's another reason of why I'm passionate about what I do.
Right.
Is because the long-term care effects of that. In one place I had her, Paul, was $9,600 a month.
$9,600 a month, Lynn?
Yeah, skilled nursing. She had to be in a lockdown facility. Her little mind went. So I'm passionate about helping folks, number one, not lose their money in retirement. And number two, being able to take those curveballs that come at you in life, right? And that was a big curveball.
Yeah.
And so part of what I do now is I help folks plan that and get plan for long-term care, because that's something you have to be ready to take care of.
Yeah.
Deutsche Bank did a study, 78% of folks in retirement are going to need some type of long-term care.
Really?
So we got to help folks plan for it. And that's what I do. It's what I'm passionate about. And so that's what brings me to this business.
I love that about you. I think the fact that you've taken your life experiences and you want to share with people in your community and prepare them.
Absolutely.
And get them ready, Lynn.
Yeah.
That's an honorable thing.
Right.
So thank you for the job you're doing.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, and we're going to jump into a little bit about some topics today. Is that good with you?
Yeah, sure.
You know, and one of the things I think a lot of folks will talk about, right out of the gate is tax situations, right? And so people tend to want to speculate what taxes are going to do. And the differences between tax planning and tax preparation are pretty big, right?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you think really folks should consider when they start thinking about the future of taxes?
Well, I mean, obviously, having a plan, I think it's very important for folks to have a plan.
Yeah.
I've co-authored a book and collaborated with 𝗱𝗶𝗱.
Yeah.
And 𝗱𝗱 is an economist. He has a PBS special that he does.
Yeah.
Called, you probably remember the song, Don't
worry, retire happy.
You remember that song?
Yeah, I do. We should sing it.
Yeah, don't worry, be happy. Yeah, right?
I love it.
I mean, and Tom talks about in his book the 7 steps that one needs to prepare. And one of the very first ones is, do you have a plan?
Do you have a plan?
And that it takes into consideration your tax plan, inflation, what's going on right now in our country. The market is volatile as anything.
Yeah.
So we have to take all those things into effect, into a planning. And so that's kind of, you know, what we do with folks. We try to help them to plan for those tax situations. And do I think taxes are going to go up? Well, let me just say this. We've got a $30 trillion deficit right now, okay? We just keep printing more money.
Yeah, right.
And inflation's starting to creep up.
Oh, is
and
it
it's
ever?
starting to feel a little familiar.
Yes.
Like the '08 time frame, real estate. Now, I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
But what goes up will come down.
Yes, so true.
And so I'm just, you know, urging people, you know, get safe, get into a safe place, get at least a portion. We teach at colleges and universities and churches. We go in and teach. If you're 60 years old, you should have 60% of your money at least in a safe place where you'll never lose your principal. Okay? So yeah, the tax planning does. It all comes into what we do and how we help folks. You know, it was, I'm trying to think of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, he says, they ask him, well, Warren Buffett, you know, what's your secret to success?
Yeah.
And he says, well, number one rule, don't lose money.
Right.
Number two rule, rule number one.
See, right.
Don't lose money.
Keep it simple.
You can't lose money in retirement because it'll take you years to bring it back. You just can't do it.
And isn't that the big point too, Lynn, right there?
It is.
You know, you only get a shot at this one time.
Right. That's right. Absolutely.
You need to get it right.
Get it right.
And that's where I think the importance of planning comes in, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, income, analyzing your income, right? What is the one thing we probably need to take off the table? Tom talks about this in his book.
Yeah.
It's called longevity risk.
Ooh, yeah.
Because longevity, we're living longer.
Yes, we are.
We've got medical advances where we're living much longer.
Yep.
So if you look at inflation, you look at the other risks that we have out there, inflation, market risk, you know, there's a number of other risks out there. Longevity risk is a multiplier of all those risks. Because the longer you live, the more you got to worry about long-term care. The longer you live, the more you got to worry about taxes, you see.
Yes.
So we've got to take longevity risk off the table. And one way to do that is with a guaranteed lifetime income.
Did you say guaranteed lifetime
Guaranteed
income?
lifetime income.
I like the sound of that.
That's what he talks about in his other book called Paychecks and Playchecks. This is kind of an interesting title.
Yeah,
Paychecks and Playchecks.
I like that.
What Tom says in this book, we work together on, is make sure you get your paycheck right first. Now, what does that mean?
Yeah.
That means that you have your floor covered, okay? So if you need $100,000 in retirement.
Right.
Now, does your Social Security, your pensions, everything, real estate, does all that add up? And does it take into account inflation, taxes, which we just talked about?
Yeah.
Right, so we've got to plan for all that. So, you know, that's what he talks about in his book. Get the floor right first.
Right.
Make sure you have enough for that. Then you can go and use the rest of your money, and you got a play check. If you want to invest some of it in the market, okay, fine. But let's get some of it safe.
That makes total sense. I love the concepts. Paychecks to play checks. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand you have a special offer for the viewer out there today. Would you mind sharing that with them,
No,
Lynn?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we would do is we have you come in to do a complimentary plan. As I said, it's there's actually it's no obligation. Okay, it's complimentary. You come in and we'll be able to go over your income analysis, make sure your income can go the distance with you. Do you have enough income to last your lifetime? We'll go over tax preparation, as we talked already. We'll talk about just the plan as a whole, getting it together so that you can take care of these things like long-term care. It's another thing we've got to consider in this plan. So come on in and we'll give you certainly a complimentary consultation. And also, if you come in and visit with me, I'll give you one of the books, okay?
Yeah.
And you'll give it to you complimentary. One of the books you'll be able to take home with you. And come on in and see us. Just give us a call at 844-299-0355.
Good stuff. And again, that's complimentary, right, Len?
Complimentary, absolutely.
So that's the best part, folks. Take advantage of it. It's complimentary review. I've seen people charge upwards of $1,500 for these, Len.
Easy.
And Len's going to give you a book, right?
Right.
Talk about some night reading. There's some good homework for you to do.
There you go.
Because it's about you. It's about what you want for your future. Do you have a plan specific to your needs? If you do, when was the last time somebody looked at it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's changed.
Absolutely.
Pick up the phone and call 844-299-0355. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Safety in Retirement. I'm your host today, Paul 𝗲𝗂𝗏, with my special guest, Lynn Strickler of LS Financial Group.
Absolutely.
Lynn, great first segment, my friend. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you a little bit, I want to get into some of the things that maybe you see on a day-in, day-out basis. What are some of the most common pitfalls you're finding?
That's a good question,
Yeah.
Paul. I'll tell you the first one. We already covered it a little bit, and we talked about it in Tom's first book, don't retire happy.
Yeah.
And it's to have a plan. I used to do motivational speaking out on the circuit
Really?
before my wife got sick.
Yeah.
And I did financial freedom, a lot of where I had some CDs built, and I published about 20 articles. And I was out on the circuit getting ready to go before she got sick. But when I'd go out on the circuit, I would talk about Alice in Wonderland. Most people know who Alice in Wonderland's story.
Yeah.
And so Alice comes skipping down the path, right? And there's multiple paths in front of her, and the Cheshire Cat's there. And she says, which road should I take? And the Cheshire Cat says, I don't know, where are you going? And she said, I don't know. And he said, well, I guess any road will do. You see, if you don't have a plan, you may end up on a road you don't want to end up on. Okay, so it's so important to have a plan and be able to let us help you with those pitfalls as we build that roadmap. Where are some of the potholes? Okay, we know where they are. All right, I already shared one with you, which is long-term care.
Absolutely.
A huge one.
Yes.
Some of the other ones that we have is market risk. We've already talked about market risk. Right, that's a huge problem.
You ain't kidding.
If you're in the market 5 years or so before retirement, 5 years in and 5 years after, if you have any zeros in there, it will take your money and run it down to maybe 10 years. Take it, the longevity off. You cannot afford to have zeros at that phase of your retirement. It's amazing. We have a thing that we do when we help do the planning for you called sequence of returns.
Yeah.
And it actually, we run it through software, okay? It's Monte Carlo software. We'll run it through thousands of different, and it will tell you exactly where to take your money first, okay?
Really?
Believe me, it makes a difference.
Wow.
We just ran one for a gentleman, and it took the software 22 minutes. Now think about this. This is a computer that moves very fast.
Quick. Absolutely.
22 minutes to figure out and to get the exact right order of sequence of returns and when to take that money. It's amazing. So people don't think about those kind of things. They don't realize what difference it makes.
Wow, yeah.
So that, that's a couple of pitfalls. I guess another one would be inflation. We've talked a little bit about inflation. Inflation will eat your money up.
I mean, can you plan for that? Well, I mean, can you plan inflation in?
Well, yeah, you can, because what we want to make sure, again, when we run the software for you, right, we will take a number. You tell us what you like.
Okay.
Right now, we're using about 3%.
Okay.
Okay. It's really not there yet at 3%, but we think it might go there.
Sure. Yes.
So the software again will run that in the plan.
Yeah.
So it'll take that into account. So we know that $100,000 you said you needed that it's going to be there for you.
Right.
So we take that inflation. We also take taxes into account for
Yeah.
you, right? Your required minimum distributions, RMDs you've got to take. People don't understand those. Provisional income, they don't have a clue what that means.
Wow.
And so we take all that for you, and then we work that into the plan. So there are a couple of pitfalls. I think another one that's really interesting that I find a lot, Paul, is that folks put an awful lot of trust in their financial advisor.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's fine. I know that some of them may be friends and whatnot, but it's your money.
Right.
It's your money.
Well, it's a business of retirement now, right?
Right, it is. And so, you know, it's important to get a second opinion.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
It's important.
I agree.
So I see a lot of folks that say they have an advisor, but you know, here's the thing. They, as an advisor, and I'm not bashing on advisor, because look, we are one, okay?
Sure.
But my partner Art and I do it different, okay? We really help pre-retires and retirees get out of the stock market, not put them in. But if you're in the market, you're in mutual funds, right? You're into bonds or whatever.
Right.
All of those have fees, okay? Now, people will say, oh, annuities, I don't like annuities.
Sure.
And I'm going, wait a minute, folks, hold on a second. Do you get a Social Security check? Most of them will say, yeah.
Yep.
I say, why don't you call Social Security up and tell them, send that check back, because you do not like annuities in this home.
Right.
That's all that is.
That's the truth.
It's a guaranteed lifetime income.
Yeah.
Offered only by an insurance company.
Right.
Okay. So it's interesting how folks get all wrapped around it. But back to the point of these fees. Every one of those mutual funds or bonds, whatever, have anywhere from 1.5% to 3% to 4% fees. Now, here's the thing that's interesting to me. When I'm making money, you're making money for me. That's fine. Okay, I pay you.
Right.
Now, wait a minute. You're going to get 3 or 4% of my money when you're losing my money? Something don't seem right with that, does it?
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I think that people put so much in their advisor that, you know, look, get a second opinion.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting what you're talking about. Can we talk about that subject for a little bit?
Sure.
You know, fees versus commissions versus, that's a big thing. And a lot of it's, look, I tell folks, don't make the decision on buying things to suit your need, right? Predicated based on fees and commissions. First and foremost, you have to make sure that it fits your plan.
Right, absolutely.
You're setting stuff up to fit your plan, not based on what the fee is you're paying. If it gets you to where you need to go, chances are whatever fee, whatever commission is well worth it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's when I tell folks, look at your overall net. Look at it over time.
Right.
Consider the entire factor.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you'll find out a good advisor is a fiduciary anyway, right?
That's true.
So speaking of fiduciary, because we hear that a lot, I mean, explain to the folks out there.
Well,
that's all about.
right now, my partner Art and I, we are not fiduciaries ourselves.
Right.
However, our co-founder of our company, one of the co-founders, she's
Yeah.
a CPA and a CFP.
Right.
Okay, she is a fiduciary.
Wow.
So for our company,
Yes.
we can manage money. We go through Carrie. Her name is Carrie. And so we absolutely can help folks with that side of their portfolios. But what we do is something a little different. It's tactically managed. We do not do a buy and hold strategy, because you remember, everything we're about is safety. So what we've done is we found a company, and there are a number of them out there, that do tactical management. And what that means is they'll run the software. Your portfolio can be moved instantly. If that computer sees that there's something going awry or something, money's moved here, they can move that money in a heartbeat.
Because it makes an immediate adjustment.
Immediate adjustment. They don't have to call somebody, hey, sell this, do that. You know, it moves it.
Wow.
And the risk factor that we use in the industry is 1. The S&P risk factor is 1. That's what they use. These folks, every single portfolio we put together is 0.5 or lower.
Wow.
That's one reason we like it, because again, remember, we're all about safety.
I love that. Listen, we're going to have to take another break here shortly. The phones have been ringing like crazy since you made the offer. Would you remind everybody what you're offering today?
Absolutely, yeah. What we're going to do is offer you folks to come in for a complimentary review. We'll go over and show you in the plan. We're going to show you income analyzer. We're going to do a Social Security analysis for you. It's about 7 or 8 pages on Social Security. Very important when to take it, how to take it. I happen to be NSSA advisor. It's the National Social Security Association, the only organization, okay, that certifies you for Social Security. Now, folks, Social Security, the book is this thick. There's lots of ways to take Social Security. We'll help you with that. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to give you a complimentary copy of one of the books that I've co-authored with 𝗏𝗏, Paychecks or Playchecks, or Don't Worry, Retire Happy. Give us a call at 844-299-0355.
And again, that's completely complimentary. Make your appointment today. Set your name on that list. Spaces are limited. Take action. 844-299-0355. We got to take a quick break. We're going to be right back after these messages.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Safety and Retirement. I'm your host, Paul Gebhardt, with my special guest, Lynn Strickler, CEO of LS Financial Group. Yep. Lynn, thank you again, buddy, for being with us today.
Absolutely.
Just such incredible information talking about the different areas in retirement. But I wanted to ask you, because you've touched on it from time to time, what are the phases of retirement that people should be aware of and plan for?
You know, that's a good question, Paul. You know, it's interesting. Retirement today is very different than it was in our grandparents' day or even our parents.
It's changing rapidly.
Right. You know, my grandmother worked at Westinghouse for 42 years.
Really?
Okay. And what did she get? She got a gold watch and a potluck lunch that she probably had to bring in, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's changed. In 1978, of course, back then it was pensions. Now,
Yes.
she did have a good pension.
Yep.
And she had her Social Security.
Yes.
But pensions, they're pretty much gone.
Right.
You may get it with the school district or police or firemen or whatever. And even some of those pensions, they've cut them.
Yeah.
And some of them haven't even been able to pay.
Well, yeah.
So the day now since 78 when the 401ks came into play, now all of a sudden we have to take responsibility for our own, right? So now
Yes.
we've got to understand and learn more about financial things that we never used to have to do.
Right.
So it's a very different, ball field now,
Yeah.
right? But the phases of retirement is kind of interesting. I'd like to tell the story of Mount Everest. It's kind of like climbing Mount Everest, right? And if you ever thought of Mount Everest, I ask people in my seminars, okay, what's the goal for climbing Mount Everest? They'll say, well, Len, it's to get to the top. Say, get to the top safely.
Yeah, right. Makes
And I
sense.
go, okay, that's a cool goal.
Yeah.
But don't you think we need to get back down the mountain safely? Yeah. You see, going up the mountain is what we call the accumulation phase.
Right.
Now, that's where you're worried about your return on your investment. You know, when you're young, like my sons are 40 years old or whatever, they got some time. They can, make up losses or whatever. But they're really looking to accumulate and get a good return. Now, when you get to the top of that mountain, all of a sudden, the game changes when you're going to come down that mountain.
Right.
Because now we're in the distribution phase.
Right. Yeah.
And in that phase, there's a whole lot of factors. Matter of fact, you're not worried as much about the return on your money as you are the return of your money.
I like that, Lynn.
Making sure that money's there.
Heck yeah.
So that's really a critical point. And
Yeah.
so that's part of what we do when we do our planning is, you know, my partner Art and I, we're really on that side of distribution. And that's where pre-retirees and retirees, that's why we focus on them, is to help them now get down that mountain safely. Where do you think most people die when they're climbing Mount Everest?
I would imagine on the climb, or it's probably on the descent,
It's on the descent.
I would imagine, yeah.
It's on the descent. That other side of that mountain, you don't know what, you know, what winds are going to come, you know, avalanches. I mean, there's so many things, and it's just like in life, same thing. We have curveballs come at us at, you know, just out of nowhere. And so coming down is very important, and that's what Art and I do. We really help folks in that distribution phase.
Very good stuff, important. What are some of the things you see common to distribution mistakes or pitfalls? What are some of the very issues that you find people are in?
Well, I think that one of them we talked about, which is staying in the market too long.
Really? So riding out the accumulation side too long?
Well, yeah, correct. And when they start to come down in pre-retirement, they've got to start thinking now of preserving and making sure the money's there.
Right, because the time's more valuable.
Time is right. They don't have the time for the losses.
Makes total
right?
sense.
So if you have a market correction, again, it may take 7 to 10 years to get back even. If you can even get back even, because if you're in retirement, Paul, you're taking money out.
True.
For retirement.
Yes.
So you're getting double hit.
Yeah.
So, like I said, coming down, you know, having a plan to make sure we can get you down that mountain safely. Inflation is another thing we talked about. That
yeah.
we've got to make sure we cover that.
Yeah, you get a plan.
So we've got to have a plan in distribution. It's just so important. So that's I mean, you just can't stay in that market. Now, I'm not saying we're not against the market. Look, the market's done good in the last 10, 11 years.
Sure.
It's done pretty good.
Absolutely right.
You know, but when you're in retirement, you've got to have a portion of that money safe, and that's what I preach. That's what I teach. Please get a portion of your money into safety.
Protect it.
Yeah, protect it.
You're talking about protecting.
Because again, with us and what we do, you're never going to lose your principal. Never.
That's incredible.
Never. And you're going to get some good upside. You're going to get some nice gain too.
Yeah.
So
that sounds like a really wonderful, wonderful retirement, if you ask me.
We call that actually, Paul, the principal protection plan.
Yeah.
And it's actually a plan that we actually, when folks come in, that we'll actually share with them. The principal protection plan.
Well, believe it or not, then our time's coming to an end. That's a show, my friend. But guess what? It's really about you, what you want. You're in charge of your future. Your tomorrow is based on the decisions you make today. Pick up the phone. Take advantage of Lynn's offer. Complimentary. 844-299-0355. We want to thank you for being with us today. Be well and enjoy your retirement, everyone.